Hey everybody, my name's Norm, and I'm a hot rodder. Hey everybody, my name's Norm, and I'm a hot rodder. So, this video here is going to cover the installation of Holley part number 20-3, which is the one-to-one non-progressive linkage for a 4150 carburetor. True, real, non-progressive one-to-one linkage. And yeah, so let me tell you what's up. Okay, you saw the engine in the intro. This stuff is going to go on that motor. It's running an Offenhauser individual runner intake manifold. The engine's a small block 350. And I'm going to be putting twin 850s on it because that's the smallest thing I can find in a double pumper. So I'm at twin 650, sorry. And let's see. So I started with a set of AED carburetors. I needed power valves on both sides, so I had to get the Proform 650 bodies for them. And then I had to get, the thing has to be set up so that all four barrels are identical, same jets and power valves and idle mixture screws and the whole 9 yards, including one-to-one linkage. And I tried the linkage bar kits for the slip linkage kits, and I tried the little $50 Holley turnbuckle type adjustment arm, and none of those are true one-to-one. So I broke down and got the shaft kit, and I just took apart one of the AEDs and took the shafts out. It wasn't that hard. Put a little B-laster on a Q-tip and hit up the screws on the back sides before you try to take them out. And I actually got half the screws out without breaking, and then used little diamond file, actually from guitar repair kit. But that's the way that you take down the high side of the screws so that you can slip the shaft out. That didn't take long. The screws are brass, so it's not that bad. And this is the base plate with the new 1-to-1 ratio shafts in, and it does work. Watch this. Now I have to play spring myself, but as you can see, this stuff is moving precisely the way it should. Now it only works from fully closed to fully open. If you go even 1 degree past 90 degrees or below 0 degrees, it messes up. But right in that range of, see, if I start turning it back, then all of a sudden this one goes that way. But let me get on there, it's unstuck. But yeah, as long as you keep it between 0 and 90 degrees, I wish there was more light here, but yeah, it does work, and it's true one-to-one, as near as I can tell. I mean, as soon as you crack it open, they both start moving, and no other linkage does that I've seen so far at all the things I've tried, and I've tried everything up to this point. So yeah, this actually does work. And now I'll show you the steps of putting it all back together again, which I've got to get into Loctite and staking screws, and it could be ugly. Okay, let me start by showing you how I got to this point with the shafts in position and installed. So I started with my double pumper here. This is a AED 650 CFM 4150 list double pumper. Not list, but yeah, 4150 model. And dual block, dual feed, all that good stuff. Milled horn. It does not have double power valves though. So yeah, this body actually will not work for my application because I need double power valves. But yeah, I started grabbing a wrench and cracking open the bowls. This one's already loose, actually. And let me show you where that got me. So that got me to here with the bowls off and all the bowl screws in a Ziploc safe so I don't lose a washer or something. So then the next step was to remove these 6 screws here with wherever it went. It used a really big old Phillips head. So that gets you down to here. And you've just got the plate with the shafts and the butterflies in it. So, like most butterfly screws, these were staked. They didn't seem to have any Loctite on them, though. I took a Q-tip and I sprayed some B-Laster on it, and I used it to lubricate the back side of the screws so that they'd have a better chance of unthreading. And then I used, once again, it takes a Phillips head screwdriver. These are the next size down, a number 2 Phillips head, I believe it is. And out come the screws. I got half of them to come out with no real major issues. I mean, they were hard to get out, like, lock washer hard kind of a thing. But they came out okay, and 4 of them came out part way and then snapped off because they're only brass. So for the 4 that snapped off, what I had to do was you rotate the shaft sideways and then you mask off all this stuff so that you don't scratch it up with a file. You rotate your shaft sideways like that, and then you can safely file down the stuff that's sticking up so that you can then pull the shaft out. And so that's what I did. I didn't actually mask it off because I build guitars and do that kind of stuff all the time. And yeah, so I got a lot of practice with this tool. And I wasn't afraid of scratching anything. But yeah, to be safe, it's better to mask it off. You sand it down, it goes pretty quick because the brass is pretty soft. You get it so that it's like, you see how it's kind of like shiny on the steel part where I filed. And as long as you get it so that it's like, showing shiny and feeling pretty smooth, it'll slip out. It's not as hard as it sounds, believe it or not. I mean, I probably would have done this stuff back in the day when I originally set up the induction system, but all that staking of screws and stuff was just like scary, man. You don't want the stuff to come loose and drop down into your intake. So, but yeah, so you just file them down, that kind of idea, and out they come. So then the $64 question is does this actually work? And yes, it does actually work. I looked online for the sum total of everything you can find online is one photo of the kit not installed. It's just like, 2 shafts and some screws and some springs, and that's the kit. And I can open this one up and show it to you right now, and that's exactly what you see in the photo. And other than that, there's nothing except for like one review on Summit Racing of somebody who gave it 5 stars across the board for everything and said it does give you true 1-to-1. And I bought 2 kits at like $85 a pop just based on that. Had to try it, and yes, it does actually frickin' work. Nothing else seems to work but this. If you want real, true 1-to-1 double barrel action, primary, secondary action. Yeah, 4-barrel. If you want a true double pumper 4-barrel, this is the only way to go, apparently. So, yeah, here, let me open it up right quick and I'll show you what's actually in it. This is all it comes with in the way of instructions or pictures or anything. A warranty statement in extremely fine print. Yeah, other than that, you're on your own. Good luck. So, there's like 1 or 2 pieces of brown paper packaging, and then you get 2 throttle shafts and a sack of screws, along with 1 plastic bushing, and that's the whole kit. Yeah, so that's it. No instructions, no photos, no nothing. There's not a photo anywhere on the website. You know, Summit doesn't know anybody who makes one of these already put together that has one-to-one linkage or anything. So I had to break down, bite the bullet, and do it myself. And I did it, and it does work. So now you get to see me put it back together. Okay, I've test fitted the shafts and confirmed that the linkage actually does create true one-to-one action. And now the next step is going to be to remove the shafts and get all the correct springs and bushings and accelerator pump cams and all that kind of stuff on them, and then put them back on and get the ends on it and things like that. And then I can go ahead and put on the butterflies, and then the screws, and then deal with the Loctite and the staking of screws and all that happy stuff. Okay, this is a secondary throttle shaft. This is the first one that gets installed into the base plate. This is the old shaft and the parts that came off it, except for the screw, which is in that pile. And this is the new shaft. As you can see, the linkage on the driver's side, so to speak, is quite different. This thing actually has a roller bearing on it, bushing kind of a thing. And it looks to be made of steel as well. So, this bracket does double duty. It's the mounting for the secondary accelerator pump, and this tab here is also used for the secondary idle speed screw, which is a little Allen, which is, where is that thing at? Let's see here. Primary, secondary, and it should be like someplace around here. Right there. That's it right there. There you go. Yeah. This is your secondary idle speed. I've got it backed all the way down into the base plate at the moment. That's an Allen grub screw on this AED unit, at least it is. Some of them might be an Allen that's only accessible from the bottom, which I don't know if that's going to work real good with the spacer. Maybe I should, no. Yeah, I think the spacers, well, the adapters, actually, I should say, for the individual runners. Maybe I should show you those too. Let's get them out. Yeah, the question is whether on some carburetors, this might only have an Allen on the bottom side, and then it's a question of whether you can actually get at it, or whether they just put it upside down or whatever. Let me show you the spacers. So, these are the Offenhauser individual runner adapters for their tunnel ram intake manifold. And the way they work is Offie tunnel rams are sold as a 3-part system. You've got the bottom half, you've got the plenum, and then you have a top for the plenum that'll fit different kinds of carbs. You can put on like a 2-barrel, a 4-barrel, 2 4-barrels, 3 2-barrels, different stuff. So that makes it lots of different uses for that tunnel ram. And one of the things you can do is, instead of putting on a plenum and then a top for the plenum to fit a particular type of carburetor, is you can get these things, and it basically turns it into an individual runner system. As you can see, there's practically no plenum underneath the carburetor. Just this, you got about an inch worth of plenum before it goes into the individual runners for the individual cylinders on the intake. So the way to set this up is with all 8 barrels identical, which means 1-to-1 linkage and dual block, dual feed, 4-corner metering, 2 power valves, same jets all the way around on all 8 barrels. All 8 barrels identical, basically. And yeah, and so this thing here, that's a required part, the true 1-to-1 linkage. And what I was wondering about before is, so you've got your little idle speed for the secondaries here, and when you put it on, these things go sideways actually. Let me see here. Okay, my idle speed's there, so this is a regular, so they go this way. Yeah, that lines up. More or less. There we go. It goes up. Goes like that. There it is, right there. Yeah, so on this one, yes, you can get it the secondary idle speed screw, even if it only has a Allen on the bottom, or they put it in upside down or whatever. So that's good news. Most spacers and stuff that I've seen in the past, they've got this kind of cutout thing going on. Some of them are blockier, but yeah. So, but anyway, this is an AED carburetor. It can be adjusted from the top, not an issue. Okay, looks like the first thing it's going to change up is the spring used on the secondary throttle shaft. This one is the OE spring and doesn't have a hook on this end, so there's no way for it to grab the new shaft. This one has hooks on both ends, and yeah, so this hook works like that hook does, and this end has a hook on it so it can actually grab this shaft. So it's going to go on like that, and it's got a little notch that it goes into and everything. And this right here, this hook, it's going to go right on that pin. Just like this. I did shoot these shafts up with WD-40 before I started test assembling stuff. There's not much left on it now, but enough to get the job done, I'd say. Okay, so there it is. Hooked it on that side and hooked in on the pin. And yeah, we now have throttle spring, but I gotta turn it around and make it tighter. So let's see here, which way do we turn this thing? This way to unhook. Guess I could just crank it around, couldn't I? Let me try that. Get back on there, you. Get some X-ray specs, see what the hell I'm doing. right about there, probably. Maybe a little more. Once more around the block. Right about there. That was plenty tight. Plenty tight. Yeah, so put the spring on, give it a couple twists, and you're good to go. All right. We'll have to twist that back up before I actually put the other linkage on, the other shaft. Actually, you twist it up, and then you put the butterflies on, and then the butterflies will keep it from going too far. Okay, so, like, the first thing, we've got our secondary throttle shaft on here. And the very first thing the next thing to go on is going to be this bracket right here, which is used for the secondary idle speed and for the secondary accelerator pump cam. And as you can see, I already got the cam kits for the primaries and the secondaries on both carburetors. So I had to get 4 kits, and I've already figured out which cam and which of the holes here to use in order to get the results I'm looking for. Based on past experience, I've discovered that the most radical cam in the most radical hole is what this kind of system likes the best. So this is already set up for that, and all the rest of the cams on the old carburetors are the same way. It's already got the greens in the number 1 hole all the way around. So all I need to do is just wind up my spring here, except I just pulled it off. I'm winding it the wrong way. So wind up my spring here and put this puppy on. Right about where are we at here? Okay, you want tighter than that, so I have to go around another one. Yeah, it's sufficiently stiff that you shouldn't have any kind of binding issues. And then this guy goes on right kind of like that. I gotta get it all the way in here. There it is. Yeah, and see, it'll actually hold things in position, and I can put the screw in. If I can do it left-handed. Hey, look at that. Give me a screwdriver. Okay, that's got it. All right, so that's on, and that actually completes the assembly of the secondary shaft onto the primaries. Okay, these are the primary shafts. This is the old one, and this is the new one, and they go about like that, respectively, when they're closed. And if you take a look at them, they're pretty much identical. This has a bracket, that has a bracket, obviously different. This has a spring, this has a spring, this has a plastic bushing for the spring, and this has a plastic bushing for the spring. So yeah, pretty much identical, except this one's got a couple screws still stuck in it, and this is a brand new shaft here. So and nothing goes on the other side, so all you have to do is just slide this puppy in. The only thing that I've really noticed, oh wait, one thing first. I have to transfer the accelerator pump cam from the old shaft to the new shaft and use the correct hole. You have 2 holes to choose from. One of the holes retards the pump shot by about 4 degrees of throttle opening or something like that. I don't know. It's in the Holley specs. If you want to look it up online, it tells you. But yeah, all I got to do is transfer this guy over to this guy, and then I can just slide it right in. So it's a small flat blade, and I've got it in hole number 1. And out comes the cam. And come over here. And yeah, they're looking pretty identical. Let me zoom this up. Yeah, looking pretty identical. So our cam should go in like this way, underneath the spring, around the shaft. A little bit of a tight fit, but then again, it was on the old shafts too. Some of them were. But there, it's fully seated. And number 1 hole is lined up. So get the screw. Try to keep the stuff in frame for you here. And there's the screw. And it's just a brass screw or something like that threads into, it's not brass, I don't know, zinc chromate plated steel perhaps, that just threads into plastic, but it locks pretty tight. It's nylon, so it's pretty tough. And yeah, there it is. So that takes care of that. Now we'll get our base plate, and you should be able to just do something. Let me zoom back out. That's a little better. Yeah, so we should be able to just, like, do this kind of a thing. Huh. How's that for sweet and easy? Okay, now where are we at on this end? We need to be right there. Cool. And yeah, okay. Moment of truth. I'm here. I'm 100% closed. I've backed this thing off, and I also backed off the primary idle speed. So they're both at fully closed positions now. And first thing I notice is this isn't actually lining up with the bushing. And so it's going to ride on linkage. But then again, once you get the butterflies in, it'll get everything lined up. And so it might ride on the bushing, or it might not. Could use some better light here. Where's some better light? Hold on. Okay, got some better light. Yeah, so what was I showing here anyway? Right, so the cam's in. Everything's all set. And, oh, right, the alignment on the bearing here. So, yeah, it could be better. It could be better. Let me switch to a wider light. Okay, yeah, so this alignment here, let me get the butterflies as straight as possible. Oh, this is out some. That's what's going on. Move this puppy over this way. yeah, I don't think Holley would make something like this and then have it not line up. So, okay, that goes more like that. And this guy goes about there or so. And yeah, it lines up. Yeah, that's riding on the bearing and not on the bracket behind it. So, yeah, we're good in the hood. And we have true one-to-one action here. Watch. Come on. Here we go. What am I doing wrong? I'm doing something wrong. I'm not pressing hard enough. Okay. That's where we're at. I'm getting a little bit more on the primary. See, I just get a tip of the blades on the primary here. And then my secondary is kicking in. So, well, okay. If you take a look at the bracket here, this is pretty much closed for primaries. I don't have the butterflies on yet, so this might change, but you go that far. So you're not even exposing, not even exposing a quarter of the idle transfer slot before the secondaries kick in. So yeah, there go the secondaries. So this is probably about as good as you're going to get. Unless you go to gears that you screw on this end, 3D printed out of metal or something, I don't know. But anyway, on with the build, right? Okay, so the butterflies are going to be the next step here. Going in, that kind of an idea. But as you can see, the primaries have idle bleed holes, or whatever they call them, and the secondaries do not. So I'm going to have to drill these puppies or order up some that have holes in them, matching set of. I need 8 butterflies total for both carburetors. So I've got to either mod this stuff or order up some new stuff kind of like this in order to do what I'm trying to do. So, and yeah, if you're trying to turn a 4-barrel into 4 1-barrels, yeah, you want your double pumper, you want your dual block. Dual feed comes with dual block pretty much. You need to pay attention to which way you're going to mount the carburetor. If you're going to mount it, this way, let's say you're looking from the front of the engine. You're going to mount it this way like a conventional carburetor with the linkage over on the driver's side of the car. Or whether you're running a tunnel ram like mine, where you have to mount them sideways like this, actually. That's way fun, let me tell you. Yeah, not fun. But, I think I might be able to find enough linkage or the parts to fab up something. Last time I had to use Stanley brackets. It's that bad. So, but yeah, there's a few. I've got half a dozen kits on my Summit Racing wish list kind of a thing. But anyway, so the next step for this is going to be to drill or get replacements for this. And if I want to drill it, well, I prefer not having to drill it because of, precision and accuracy and making them all identical and everything like that. And so maybe I'll see if I can find something online. But even if I did want to drill it, I don't have drill bits for dealing with steel at the moment. I had a recent shop fire and lost just about all my tools, so I've been replacing things as I need them. So I'm going to have to take a little time out here and do some online shopping for either some butterflies that have the idle air holes in them or some drill bits to make my own. Okay, these are the throttle plate kits right here. It works out to, I end up paying $8 for each pre-drilled Holley original OEM plate, but that's okay. I need 8 of them, so it'd be $64. I'll order them up. When they come in, I'll go back to filming. And I checked the spec card for the carburetor, but it doesn't give you a spec for the size of the hole. I'm kind of assuming they're going to be the same size as a Holley plate, but can't be sure, so that's the reason why I got 8 of them. Also, I didn't have any handy way to measure the hole. Holley gives you a spec. It's 0.97 inches diameter, as I recall. But anyway, yeah, the parts will be here like in, less than a week kind of a thing, so I'll start filming again then. One detail I forgot to mention, when you put the primary shaft in, you do have to hook the spring into the little groove here. The way I did it is I pulled the shaft out so it was no longer connected to this part and could spin around. And I held the spring with my finger, and then I spun it around once and then shoved it on and then used my finger to get it in the groove. It was actually past the groove when I put it back on, so it went on no problem really. And once I get this shaft, the secondary shaft, over in the center and the primary shaft over in the center, one's a little left, one's a little right, the bearing lines up good, so all good in the hood. Now I just need some throttle plates. So in order to try to keep this short and sweet, I think I'm going to do this in 2 parts instead of just one video. And I'll end it here, and I'll pick up in the next video when the throttle plates come in. Until then, everybody, have a good one.